that's not my real name, but does that matter?
No, it doesn't. So what's been happening?
He's just so mean all the time. Honestly, every day when I come home from work, my head is just pounding.
Australia is not all beaches and suburbs. Hundreds of thousands of Australians live and work in what we generally refer to as the bush. The remote and regional areas of the country where towns, large and small, are home to many people living fulfilling, happy lives far from the nearest city. The viability of these remote towns and communities depends largely on access to healthcare. So happy and healthy health workers are essential to the sustained success of Australia's remote and regional populations. It's not for everyone. Living out here presents some unique challenges, particularly to people who are new to the bush or who are not used to the demands posed by regularly travelling to remote areas. The challenges facing remote health workers and their families are different from the stresses facing people in larger regional and urban areas, where there's often professional and social support available.
How you going? I wonder how that bloke with the facial injuries is going.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check up on him, just haven't got round to it yet.
You said that yesterday and the day before. I get on to it, mate.
Living and working in a remote location, I would say, is different for every single person. I think no two nurses or other health professions or even family members would have the same experience. One of the difficult things to deal with when you live in a small community is interpersonal conflicts. They can be particularly damaging when they're with the team that you're working with, because there's nowhere to go. In a big city hospital, you just transfer to another work unit or you just work at the other end of the ward. When there's a team of 2 or 3 nurses, if you don't get along with one of them, you've got a big problem.
Issues that might not seem too serious when you have a strong social network around you can become quite daunting when they occur in a remote context. Sometimes the pressures of the job, the sense of isolation or the lack of contact with friends and family can create a background level of stress which amplifies even minor issues into major problems.
Damn it! Who puts a pot plant on the edge of a desk anyway? A mess. You know, you call it sorry business. I call it a week off. I did do all my work and yours last week. No one said sorry to me.
The biggest survival, if you want to call it that, in remote health or in isolation is you look after yourself. You remember, number one, you don't bottle things up. You got something on your mind, you get rid of it. Because the thing is, it just doesn't go away. It keeps building up.
Part of the important structure that makes it all work is having those supports around you that give you what you need to survive. I've been very fortunate that my primary support mechanism is my family and that they have consented to live with me out bush. Each remote practitioner needs to have a personal sustainability plan, so they need to sit down and think about what it is that makes them resilient. What are the things that they need to have so that they can survive doing this work? Being widely connected through CranaPlus, I think, has made a big difference to my sustainability.
CranaPlus, through Bush Support Services, is a leader in remote health. We understand the pressures that accompany remote work environments. Sometimes, living and working remotely can become overwhelming. But wherever you work, from the middle of nowhere to the back of beyond, you are never alone. No matter how far away from your comfort zone you might be, or what kind of personal or professional issues you may be dealing with, there is always someone to talk to share your stresses with, and to offer you trained, professional advice and counselling, confidentially and anonymously.
He says it like I was away for holiday for a week, but it was Mum's funeral, you know. I had to be there.
Our core service, and the one a lot of people find most useful, is our 24-hour confidential phone support line.
It's like I'm stuck in between two different worlds, you know. Like when I'm with my family, I'm black, but then when I'm at work, I'm white.
I think it might be really helpful to have a look at what it's been like for you as an Aboriginal worker in this workplace.
The Bush Support Line is completely confidential, totally free and available 24/7 to health workers and members of their immediate family all around the remote areas of the country. You don't even need to be a member of CranaPlus to use it. The Bush Support Line is staffed by registered psychologists who know through first-hand experience what it's like to live and work in remote and rural areas and to deal with the unique pressures that you might be facing.
And give you some relaxation techniques.
Because we're only a small team, something that affects one member of the team badly affects all of us. So we get pretty good at supporting each other and linking into the resources that help us cope. Most of the people that I deal with in remote health circles are working in the field of Aboriginal health, so they're dealing with a significant cross-cultural stressor as well. And to take it personally when the patients don't accept your advice is a shortcut to getting out of town.
I just love working with Aboriginal people. You know, even though they're not my people, where I come from, you know, I just find I'm giving something back. And I love that. I just love that idea of if I can be supportive and understanding of what the people are going through, to me that makes my day.
One of the things that makes the job difficult to deal with at times is the incidents that come in the door. There's a huge amount of alcohol-related harm and the associated domestic violence that goes with that. But then because we're on a major highway, there's road trauma as well, and that can be pretty horrific.
Through this service, we're able to provide personalised care for remote health workers and their families. Although our focus is on prevention of mental health issues, we also help people on the road to recovery.
Yeah, it was about a month ago. I was heading back into town after a weekend away, and I just found this guy lying in the road. There's lots of blood. Lots of blood. He'd smashed his car into a tree and left half his face in the windscreen. I did what I could, you know, and just waited with him until the ambulance came. Just over an hour listening to him moaning.
Have you been thinking a lot about him?
Nah, and that's the weirdest thing. I mean, I always follow up, always, but this time I just try to forget about him. I mean, I listened to him moan for ages, waiting for the helicopter.
There was a helicopter as well.
No, sorry, that was something else. When I was in Afghanistan, with the army.
Tell me about Afghanistan.
One of my personal experiences with what was then called the Bush Crisis Line was I attended a motor vehicle accident my first year as a remote area nurse, and had the unfortunate experience of having to look after a number of bodies at the scene. But what frightened me is that one of the deceased was a baby, and I didn't feel anything, despite having a baby of my own at the time. And I found that quite terrifying, because I thought, there's something wrong with me, I'm not normal. Why don't I feel something? Fortunately, I rang the Bush support line, and they were able to reassure me that what I was not feeling was completely normal, and that within a variable period of time I would start to feel some of the other stages of reaction to a very traumatic event. And they were absolutely right.
The service is tailored to the individual and your specific situation. You can even speak to the same psychologist on subsequent calls, if you wish.
No, that's not true. I'm avoiding things, deliberately finding other stuff to do. I used to be really fit when I was in the army, you know, training every day, running, weights, everything. I really miss that.
Sounds like you were in really good shape. And it looks like you realised that working out is a great way to stay in shape emotionally too. You mentioned that you've been avoiding things. I wonder what that's all about.
Bush Support Services is not a last resort. It's a simple and effective tool to help you manage the unique pressures that sometimes occur when living or working in remote areas.
I just feel so far away from everyone and everything, you know? I mean, 18 months ago, I was still at uni in Birmingham, surrounded by people all the time. Now I'm here, in the middle of nowhere. Literally.
When you call the support line, confidentiality is guaranteed. You can even be totally anonymous. You don't need to say where you're calling from or reveal any personal details at all if you don't want to.
I just feel really out of my depth, you know? I just wish that... I just wish I'd never taken this job.
You mentioned you aren't sleeping well. Is it typical for you to be awake at this time of night?
Usually. I mean, sometimes later. Unless I have a couple of extra wines. But I just feel really groggy the next day. It just makes everything else worse.
Okay, I'd like to discuss some ways that you can feel more connected to your friends and family back in the UK.
Actually, I should probably get going. I'm on a mobile and Bill's been killing me lately. I'm just going to go if that's all right.
Liz, I'll call you back. I think it's important that we keep talking about this, so if you just give me your number, I can ring you straight back.
Hello?
Hello again. Okay, I'd like to discuss some ways that you can feel more connected.
What we'd really like to see is that we avoid people getting into a crisis situation, that they call early when there's a problem. Even if they just want to get something off their chest, they just want someone to talk to, and it's not just for health professional business. It's for family business as well. It's for all of those things that will help keep a remote health practitioner practicing remotely.
Everyone has their own pressure points, their own issues and their own challenges. The Bush Services support line provides a safe, non-judgmental place to talk about those things for remote health workers and their families.
I've been Skyping my friends, actually.
Our highly trained and experienced psychologists provide an understanding ear and offer practical solutions.
We have to do this more often. Absolutely. It's been life-saving. You've got no idea.
I think the Bush support line is a fantastic service. It's made such an enormous difference to so many people right around Australia. I'm very pleased to say that from my own personal experience, the best thing I ever did when I got into trouble was to ring the Bush Support Line. And I'm so glad I did, because it saved me from becoming a wreck.
Working in remote health in a clinic has been a pleasure in my life, you know, and meeting different people, and people with CranaPlus. You know, there's support everywhere, and there is support for Aboriginal people. I think you just got to take that jump, that leap, and think, I can do this, and that's what I've done.
Pick up the phone. It's confidential, it's free, no one will know you rang them. So you're only doing it for yourself and for the people that love you. So pick up the phone, give them a call.
You are vital to the ongoing well-being of the community in which you work. If the going gets tough, remember, you are not alone. Don't wait till you or someone close to you is in the middle of a crisis. Call sooner rather than later. Support from one of our experienced psychologists can help prevent a crisis and help you develop the mental and emotional resilience you need to continue performing at your best in your challenging but essential role as a remote area health worker.